Hey everyone, it's Karen Tippy here. If you don't know me, I've been a consultant for quite a while. I've been on Shelly's team since 2010, and I used to go live here a couple times a month and just share ideas or things that are working for me in my business, different tips that I thought might be helpful or useful, and it's been a while since I've done that. I was Marco Poloing with Holly yesterday, Holly Aldridge. Some of you know her. And there are a couple things that specifically came up that I wanted to share with everyone because I think they're really helpful and useful. What I want to say is that there's no one way to be successful as a direct seller. There's lots of ways to be successful as a direct seller. And what works for me may not work for you, or what works for Shelly may not work for me, or what didn't work 2 years ago might work for you now. I think it was Shelly a couple years ago at Sister Bration was telling us about how she had never had success with a gift buyers club, and then she tried it again after a couple of years, and then it worked for her. So sometimes you just have to try different things and just see how it goes. So I'm going to give you 2 tips that work for me, and these are things that have consistently worked for me in my business. And it doesn't really matter the season, doesn't really matter the catalog, it doesn't really matter how long you've been a consultant. These are just 2 things that I personally think are helpful and useful. So the first tip I want to give you is to think about how you're planning your month. Like, what is your plan for March? When I joined, we had a big debacle that holiday season. It wasn't pretty. I joined August of 2010, and it was like the first day of the fall winter catalog, and we headed into the holiday season, and month ends were a nightmare. And then we had a container of inventory that fell off a ship, and we didn't have zipper pouches for customer specials from November, and it was a mess. So I didn't close parties the last 2 days of the month, ever. Like, not ever. I avoided it like the plague. And after that, I would really front load my month. And that's something I've continued now almost 10 years later. I like to front load my month. And what I mean by that is I schedule my parties and I schedule events to close by the 15th or 20th. And I do that intentionally because if I am closing my parties and events that are already booked by the 15th or 20th, then I can look and say, where am I, compared to my goal for the month. If my goal for the month is to sell $2,000 and I get to the 20th and I've sold 1,000, well, I've got some work to do. But the good news is I've still got 10 days to do it. So in that last 10 days of the month, I have a cushion. I can book a mystery hostess event. I can do a battle of the hostesses real quick. I can ramp up my customer follow-up, my customer care, follow up with people who've mentioned interest in different products. I have 10 days, a third of the month, to turn my month around and make a difference. In December, I set a really big goal in December. And I was talking to Shannon, and it was kind of a goal that was, this is a really big goal, and I'm probably not going to make it, but let's just see what we can do. And on the morning of the 26th, the day after Christmas, I needed $220 a day to meet my goal. So I needed a party a day to meet my goal by year end, which seemed ludicrous to me. Like it seemed absolutely ridiculous. But I blew past it. And that was 6 days of work. So if you front load your month, you give yourself that cushion to turn your month around if it isn't going the way you want. And there's a lot of reasons why your month may not go the way you want. Maybe a party cancels, or maybe you have a party that's a flop, or, a host gets sick or has a family emergency, or maybe you get sick. I had pneumonia one year and I actually had to cancel 2 or 3 parties because I was confined to home for 2.5 weeks. So things happen, life happens. So if you've front loaded your month, you give yourself that cushion to really make it up and make a difference at the end of the month. If you close all your parties in the last 2 to 3 days of the month, and you get to the last day of the month at 6 o'clock at night, and you're $500 short of your goal, there's not a lot you can do in 5 or 6 hours. But if you have 5 or 10 days left, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of strategies that aren't spammy or gross that you can really put in place quickly to turn your month around. So that's my first goal. Is I really like to front load my month. I think it's really helpful for me. I think it's really made a difference in how I operate my business, just because I do have that last third of the month to catch up if I need to. And it's not that I'm not working that last third of the month. I'm really focusing on sharing the monthly specials, sharing anything retiring or going away, customer care, pink glove service, all that kind of stuff. My focus is just different during that time of the month. So the second tip I want to share, and this is something you've probably heard before, but there's a saying that if you shoot for the moon, you'll always land in the stars. I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably messing it up. But basically, what that means is aim high, right? Aim high, and even if you miss, you're probably going to be all right. So if you're a director above and you need $1,000 for your director requirements, and your goal for the month is just $1,000, if you aim for 1,000 and you miss, you probably won't hit your director requirements, and then you will not get paid as a director. You'll get paid as a senior consultant. Or any consultant level now, if you sell $2,000 of PV per month, you get a 10% bonus on your personal sales. So if you have a goal of $2,000 and you just set your goal for only $2,000 and you miss, you're probably not going to make it, right? Like, you're probably going to end up with $1,500 to $1,800 in personal volume. But if you actually set your goal above your minimum, so if you are just trying to hit that $1,000 for director requirements and you set your goal at $1,500 or $2,000, so you aim for that $1,500 or $2,000 level and you miss, you're still going to hit your minimum of $1,000. From that consultant PV bonus standpoint, if you set your goal for $2,500 and you miss, or even $3,000, I know this is what Holly and I were talking about yesterday. She's setting her goal for March for $3,000 because she wants to hit $2,000. So she's giving herself a cushion. She's aiming high. And then if something happens, she's probably still going to hit her $2,000 because of how she has planned for the month. So it's just something, kind of a mindset thing, something to think about as you go into a new catalog, a new month, a change in our special, and also a change in how we can get compensated. And I think these two little changes can help a lot. It can really reduce your stress. Like, the whole front loading of the month for me was a stress thing. I didn't want to have to stress at the end of the month. I didn't want to be there on that last day, panicking because I was $500 short of my goals. So front loading the month really changed that stress level for me. It really changed how I enjoyed my business because I wasn't putting that stress on myself. So my 2 tips: think about how you're planning your month. For me personally, front loading works because then I have a cushion. And think about how you're setting your goals. Are you setting your goals at the minimum, or are you aiming for the moon so you can still land in the stars even if you miss? You're still going to make it even if you miss. So I think those 2 things have helped me a lot, and so I wanted to share those after Holly and I were talking on Marco Polo yesterday, and I hope they'll help you too. If you have any questions or want to chat more, comment below or send me a message, and I am happy to talk. Have a great first day of March. I hope you are kicking off this new catalog and double rewards strong.